Welcome, dear viewers, to a new episode of The Prominent Ones, the program that sheds the light on the achievements as well journeys of the elite of women here in Kuwait. And today we've got a very special episode with very various, let's say, segments as well as guests. But before we start, how about I greet my colleague Hiba, and hello Hiba, you look amazing today.
Well, thank you so much, Amal, and I'm very sure our audience are really eager to know more about today's guest. I mean, we get really inspired by the women that we actually host in our program, and especially when it comes into finding their journey and lifestyle, such more of an inspirational, let's say, side that we start to see and get enlightened more about.
Yes, that is so true. So how about you join us in today's episode to learn a little bit about a journey one of the elite and prominent ones have traveled through. She is an inspirational one. Join us.
And we are back, dear viewers, to welcome our guest in today's episode, talking more about an autism specialist. Really happy to welcome with us our guest, Yasmeen Al-Qallaf. Really happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me today. Thank you.
It is really a special time that we talk to an autism specialist, if we can say that, because lately a lot of this word has been repeated here and there. So tell us more about autism at the beginning.
Right, so autism is a lifelong developmental disability that affects the child, let's say, social communication and social interaction. Plus, we will see some repetitive behavior, like the child can spin around himself, or we will see some flapping hands, and also we will see the child have some challenges with sensory. Let's say, for example, he might cover his ears to avoid some kind of noises, or maybe avoid kind of textures and so on.
Okay, yeah, this really takes us to this, let's say, spectrum, if you can say. There are several spectrums, they say.
It's a very big spectrum. It starts, let's say, from people like Einstein to a very, very severely affected with learning disability.
So,
talking more about it, recently, and I believe that a lot of women are facing such a case, especially when it comes with their children. And a lot of people say it's due to the lifestyle that we're living and due to all of the updates that we have, that these are the negative side, that let's say a mother or a father having a very busy lifestyle, giving their, let's say, children with the technology and aside to it could increase that kind of, let's say, of autism. So before we head to and get deep into autism, let's talk more about you and choosing this path. Like, what inspired you to be more of an autism specialist?
All right. Actually, my journey started with my son. So when he first diagnosed with autism, I have no clue about it at all. I might just heard the word autism maybe twice in my life, but I didn't understand it fully. And then because I denied in the beginning, and I didn't want really to believe that my child has this difficulties. So at the beginning, I saw autism as something like a monster. But within the time, I educated myself. I became very passionate toward learning more and more about autism and how to deal with my son, to help my son and help other people.
This is really a great journey, because a lot, as you said, the denial is the first stage.
Exactly.
And then it gets anger, I think.
Denial, anger at the same time. Like, okay, in the very beginning, I was angry toward the doctors who give the diagnosis for my son. And I said to them, you are a liar. And I want to repeat the diagnosis again. I don't think my son has autism. And I started to read too much about it, just to find any small bit to tell me that he has no autism. But the more I read, the more I understood at that time. And then I got to a stage where I see it was really difficult. I wanted to take the autism off my son. But then I learned, and I came to the acceptance stage, and I learned that I need to love my son unconditionally.
That is so beautifully said, because Hiba, as we know it, in the last 20 years, we haven't heard of that thing called autism. Nobody knew about it at all.
Right. We might heard another words,
Yes.
not autism,
The
but
terminology for it.
it's a very old disorder. I
Yes.
think it started from the 40s.
Indeed,
People
indeed,
start to know about it.
but here we can say in the Gulf we didn't know about
yes,
it until
yes.
nowadays that
I
everybody
think-
is starting to hear it a lot.
Great. I think some people, they don't really like to highlight that their
Right.
child has autism.
Yes.
So that's why we don't hear it a lot.
So to me, I believe that this case is actually happening. If it's not for the family or within the family, it's within the, let's say, a border of the family. When we're talking about cousins, talking about friends,
Yes.
that's why people started to feel more of, let's say, hearing the word autism quite often, whether it's in schools, whether it's in universities, and so on. To me, I believe that this, let's say, thing that happens within a person is something very amazing at the same time, is because it's part of them.
Yes,
It's like
exactly.
when you understand them and when you start to, let's say, accept what they have as a, we don't want to say it as a disorder, but more of a case that it's happening in them. You start to, having that said, accepting them, you start to have that kind of new bond, new relation, a new side of them that reflects how a person could be, especially that we're always into having simple communication with each other. It's either by greeting or by a look. But once you get deep into a person with autism, you have that there's a different approach, a different way for reaching towards us, which I found it really beautiful, because it's more of a way, it's challenging in a way, but it has its own story because it represents a new personality for you.
Yes, exactly. Sure.
Yeah.
Have you came to a term called neurodiversity?
Yeah.
So it's like people who have ADHD and autism or an anxiety disorder.
Yes.
So all of those people, we think that they have a brain that's worked differently than, let's say, people who have no challenges.
Yes, that's it. This is, as you said, it's a challenge.
Yes.
And at the beginning, each and everyone who has a child that has one of the symptoms, it's a challenge for the parents.
Exactly.
So the support, where did you get the support?
Me.
Yes.
Right. In the very beginning, well, I wasn't in Kuwait,
Yes.
so I was
Abroad.
in the UK, abroad. So I got the support from my daughter, my husband, from people around, my friends, let's say. And then actually I start to attend too many courses
Yes.
about autism, and in that courses I start to get the support I need.
Okay.
The support I need for me in that time is to learn and understand what does autism mean.
Yes.
Because for all of us, if something that we really don't know about it, we think it's enemy,
Yes.
right? And we deal with it as it's something very bad.
Ignorance is the enemy.
Exactly.
Yes, that's true.
But afterward, I found the support really each mom needs is learning. It's educating herself about autism. So later on, they can be friends.
Yes. So the community around you was
Exactly.
the first support. If we can say the first circles, the family and the doctors, and then the community, you found the support over there. And that is really essential nowadays here in Kuwait. Do we have communities that support each other?
I think in the beginning, I create a gathering for families with autism.
Yes.
So we start together each month and talk about our challenges and talk about even the beauty that we have, you know, like, because our kids, they don't only have challenges, they have unique things also. And then I think now we have another gathering also created by a mother for a child with autism.
Yes.
So we start to see more community support.
And you know, Hiba, also, if I remember, the United Nations has a big support because they dedicated a day for autism, and this is what we know about, right?
Yes, the 1st of April.
Yeah, it was,
exactly.
yeah, the
It's
day.
really amazing to have that kind of support and to support each other when it comes into dealing with something. I'm very sure it's challenging and new, and especially when it comes into our community, the difficult thing is to always admitting that there is something different about my child, and trying to emphasize on always trying to find a permanent solution. It's like searching for a delete button that it's not there and doesn't exist. It's instead of, let's say, accepting and teaching everyone how to deal with it. So one of the important thing I'm very sure even our audience would like to know is when it comes into autism, especially talking about kids, that we have different ways where kids could approach to and develop in their case. So everyone starts saying if the child gets really late in speaking, that indicates that there's a certain, let's say, issue and could lead to autism in a way. So maybe we'd like to elaborate with the audience more about when is the appropriate age that a person or a mother, in the matter of fact, could focus about the child that maybe there's an indication of autism.
All right, so as a parent, we can identify the signs of autism as early as 18 months up to 24. So, but with my personal experience, I find out that Yasin has, let's say, developmental delay, speech delay, no eye contact. When we call his name, he will never respond to us. It seems that he is in his own bubble. Before he continued 2 years by 1 month. So I think, yeah, something like that. And I think the more we find earlier, it's much better. The more we will offer support in a very early years, and that's the key for their development.
So to discover or to diagnose an autism child, how the parent can really sometimes miss all of that. It would be, okay, it's like all of his other siblings or like his cousins, and it's okay, he's gonna grow up and do it. So how can they really go and get the perfect and precise diagnosis?
Well, they need to seek help when they see certain signs. If your child doesn't match his developmental stage, you need to know what is the issue. Because some kids, they might have, let's say, water in their ears. That's why it doesn't allow them to respond. Other kids maybe have another issues. And some kids, they might have autism, or they might have developmental delay or like speech delay. So we need to seek help if we see some signs. We can go to the pediatric or developmental children department in Al-Sabah hospital, and there they get diagnosed.
To diagnose it. And I think the parents watching their children and observing their behavior as well are not really counting on the schedules of their cousins, but the true ones that the Ministry of Health or the WHO has put in on their sites is the essential, let's say, role.
Developmental stages. The thing is, we hear this a lot. So you will hear some parents, they will say, oh no, he's similar to his cousin. And now look at his cousin, he is in university. We don't have to compare. I think with the education, with the right support that our children receive in the beginning, that will help them a great deal. You don't know actually what's frustration his cousin maybe went through socially or others academically maybe.
That's true, that is so true. Hiba, I think we have much more questions about this kind of spectrum, if you can say, and a great thanks for you, but let's go for a quick break, then continue the prominent ones.
And we are back, dear viewers, with our guest, the autism specialist, Yasmeen Al-Qallaf. So we've been talking more about autism, and people, especially when it comes into knowing and identifying the case itself in the beginning, they've always start to ask the question, if I identify in the beginning, could autism, let's say, get away from the child and we can, let's say, remove it, for instance, or it's something maybe, let's say, different because of the different levels that could be labeled for autism?
Right. I'm afraid to say, and I know that parents will not really like to hear that autism doesn't go away. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's a lifelong developmental disability that can happen since the child born till his end of life. But however, like with the support, the right support, the early intervention, we've seen many cases that they development a great deal. So they started with no communication, no speaking, no skills at all, and then they improved. So I think there is a great hope to see more kids that they can show us great things in the future. But yeah, unfortunately, there is no cure.
So no cure for autism, but there is always a cure, let's say a path for development.
Exactly.
So how can we, if a parent has an autism child, how can he really develop the communication skills, especially if he's growing up, he wants to go to school, they want him to communicate with the families?
Exactly. That's a good question. Well, first of all, sometimes we really need to look at how we are communicating to our kids.
Okay.
So we don't have to be very fast or very slow. We need to be clear, we need to be direct.
Yes.
We don't use, you know, like a snake way to say something. We need to be very direct so they can follow us. Also, when we communicate to them or give them an instruction or command, we need also to give them some time to process the information.
Okay.
So we don't have to repeat things over and over, because that can overload the child. We need to give like 5 seconds, we pause, and then we repeat the instruction again. Also, we can use visual support. Visual support is very great way to help our kids understand what we say.
Yes, okay.
Also, there is an approach called PECS, Picture Exchange Communication System. And I think nowadays there is application that some kids who cannot speak or they are very late talker, they can use that system to communicate with others. From my personal experience, I taught Yasin how to use PECS in the very beginning.
Okay.
So he has no speech until the age, let's say 4. Around age 4, he started to say some words.
Okay.
But before that, he used to use picture instead of talking. So if you want chocolate or if you want, let's say anything, he will give me the picture on my hand, and that will indicate that he's communicating to me, but in his own way. So this is my advice, is when we see the child is very, very delayed in speech, we don't have to wait more.
Yes.
I really see some kids, they reach 9, 10, 15 years old without any voice. Because of what? Because of the parents that they don't really want to use PECS with the child, because they don't see it's appropriate communication, let's say skills or tools. But for me, each one has the right to communicate.
Yes.
So you need to give your child another way of communication.
That is so true. It is, everyone has a right to express themselves, their feelings, their desires.
Exactly.
And if you don't have the tool to it that would give you, then there are so many tools. The voice is one of them, but there are others and others as well.
Yes, and the person should be really well educated when it comes to this matter as well. Acceptance is something very beautiful. To be honest, I follow you on Instagram.
Thank you.
Because I find you really inspiring woman, a mother as well, and believing in your ability and your son's ability is something very beautiful, because you have that awareness and because you have that knowledge. Today, having your son case actually raised an awareness for you to be a specialist in the field.
Yes.
You're doing that because of passion and love. You're not doing that because only trying to find a solution, but because you have that love and connection with your son, you developed from yourself, which is something very rare to happen and very great as well. So having that awareness means that you have power. So tell us about how important is having autism awareness, especially when it comes into dealing with parents and of course people in the society as well.
It is very important to increase awareness as long as we increase acceptance towards autism. As we are doing today, we are also increasing awareness by talking about it. We are making people aware of the signs. We are making people aware of our kids, how they are learning, how they can perceive the world around them. So, you know, we don't want people to judge our kids. We want them to know them very closely and learn about their world and learn about their uniqueness, their challenges. We don't want to see people judging our kids if we are in the shopping center and you see a child that's screaming or might crying, and then suddenly you find some people will look at the parents.
Yes.
They will think, oh, the parents cannot control their child.
Accusing eyes.
Yes, exactly. Or maybe they will think that the child is naughty. And this is, we need to differentiate. We need people to be aware of that they are hidden disability.
Yes.
So not all disabilities, you can see it, not all disabilities on a wheelchair, but there are some hidden disabilities that you can't see it. Only you see it when the child behave in a certain way. I'm not going to say a bad way, right? They will behave in a certain way because of some purposes.
Yes.
So also from my social media platform, many people, they start to identify the autism from the things I'm saying,
Yes.
from the signs that I'm talking about, from my sharing my experience, and they start to diagnose their children early as they could. So this is really make me happy that we are doing really good, me and Yasin, to increase awareness, and increasing acceptance is more important than increasing awareness.
This is so true. Increasing the acceptance
Yes.
is the first step to awareness. So you
Exactly.
accept, then you spread the knowledge and you spread the awareness around you. So here in Kuwait, if we can say, do we have institutes or schools specialized to deal with autism?
Right. We are very thankful that we have many schools in Kuwait that they can have our kids.
Yes.
But also we want to see more classes.
Yes.
You know, the spectrum is so big,
Indeed.
right? And we have many different kind of people that they have autism. Some of them, as we said, severe. Some of them they are able to learn. Some of them they might need still support. The system here, I see, it's fit only kind, let's say one kind maybe.
Okay.
Or the system is forcing people or parents to put their children in a special need education.
Okay.
And for me, I see, no, we need to give our kids opportunities. Some of them they can learn, some of
Yes.
them they can like reach
Higher,
university
yes.
education or maybe more. Some of them, okay, as we said, they need a lot of help. But we need to offer different opportunities to cover the whole spectrum.
Yeah, so giving more to that notion that we need to interact our children with the community, to give
Exactly.
them the chance to be with the others, and to
Exactly.
also spread the awareness for in schools, if we can say, in governmental or private schools, to say, okay, those classes are for autism, but these kids are from you and within you.
Exactly. We need to see more inclusive environment.
Yes, and I do believe that one of the also solutions is to have educators that are actually within the field itself, that are very, let's say, in the studies that it qualifies them to deal with all of the cases when it comes into autism and different varieties of case. Because I believe this is one of the things that's challenging in the system itself, that for a certain amount of number of schools is because it finds the equals of, let's say, employees that are really less in the field. And hopefully today we have a message even for educators that are the ones in the Ministry of Education, to increase the awareness of taking the special needs, let's say specialty, taking more into responsibility about having the right requirements for teachers for the future to enter this field for this such a great case and awareness as well. So having that said, I'm very sure when it comes into dealing with autism, it deals with lots of activities, lots of varieties of things that you do with the child in order for them to keep them in their comfort zone, and also as well to not, let's say, get them feel more bored. Because one of the things that we see with parents is they give them the tablet and that's it. No one talks to the child and let them get in their own bubble, while there is lots of great activities you can actually do with them.
Yes, daily activities is actually very important. It's helped me great deal with my son, from brushing teeth, from sitting the table, mealtime, getting dressed, all of those things. It's helped the child to gain skills. Not only just, you know, doing it and that's it. No, they gain skills, they gain confidence, build a lot of communication, expand maybe vocabulary, and this is what we really want to see more. Children need to learn from the house, from home, many different skills, doing the daily activity with them. Use the kitchen too. The kitchen is really great place for the kids to learn.
Nice.
Even the children who have some sensory issues, they can taste, they can touch different textures, they can smell different, you know, smell or kind of food, and that will help them to improve, help them also to eat, because we have many kids that they have something called picky eater, so they don't eat everything. So for me, I ask parents just to let your child join with you the kitchen.
Well, this is a great way to communicate, not just with all of our children, no matter what their difficulty that has. Because
the child can participate in, let him do it. Like help you setting the table for lunchtime, for dinner time, help you carrying the bags from the co-op if you go to the market.
Yes.
A lot
give
of
them a
things.
chance, let's say. Believe in their ability and give them a chance in order for them to develop. So I'm very sure it's one of the great interviews that we had, and even the audience did enjoy us. But dear viewers, we're going to head to a break and then we'll be back.
And we're back with you again, dear viewers, in the Prominent Ones. And with us today is Yasmeen Al-Qallaf, autism specialist. A great thanks to you for being here with us. You are one of the most prominent ones, the elite ones. And the journey that you have went through is an inspiring one. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really happy today to see you.
We were really excited to have you, and I'm very sure everyone did enjoy watching us and of course learned a lot. Today we talk about autism as a case, as a disorder, but you have to look at it in a positive way. It's more of a beautiful part of the personality of a person that really increase that kind of, let's say, sense of responsibility, sense of awareness, and trying to understand a person in a more different way and aspect. So this is all what we have for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed watching us. Don't forget to join us again.